Hi, and thanks for watching the RPG channel. Sorry about the light in here. This is why I normally don't record videos at night. But anyway, it is night, and so the Marvel game this week has gone really well. This is the first game I've played where we've had 3 players, so far everyone who's played in any game was present for this last game. And so far, it looks like we're dealing with 3 completely different stories here. And the central plot device that is taking place involves this company that I mentioned in the other video, which seems to be doing some rather unethical research into the source of these powers in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. But what's really interesting is that every single player in the game has an entirely different relationship with this company. So, one player is now holed up in the woods living in this cabin with a person who says he used to work for the company but is now turned against them and is trying to get information to shut them down because he doesn't agree with the work they're doing. The character in this NPC have so far broken into a house and stolen some documents that they hope will be of use to them. According to the information gained from this NPC, the company a few weeks ago had an accident which caused a manifestation of powers in people who otherwise normally wouldn't have had them, which is where the players got theirs. And based on the documents that they stole, it looks like before that happened, that accident, whatever it was, the company had invested, or rather redirected, a lot of their resources into a very specific project that he didn't have access to or didn't even really know about until very recently. So he's thinking that whatever that project was has something to do with the energy burst and all that, which caused the power to manifest. Okay. Another character, the immortal character, is back in the 1940s with a few scientists who had worked on the Manhattan Project, but were, after building the most dangerous weapon ever known, they're not feeling all too comfortable with the government. So, through their research in radiation and stuff, they've discovered that certain types of radiation might be able to cause these powers to manifest. And they're thinking that it happens naturally in nature sometimes, and they've already encountered one person who has a power, but what they're looking for is a way to cause people to develop these powers so that, in theory, they're going to be able to decide their own fate and not rely on governments and stuff like that who are just going to build super weapons. All very, like, good-natured, naive scientist stuff. But they have recently discovered that there's a natural source of the radiation they're looking for in the Knoxville area and are scouting out areas to start up some type of business there, and they've taken on a third party who is going to supply them with some financial help. Interestingly enough, the house belonging to the NPC who's going to be providing financial help for the scientist back in the 40s happens to be the same house that the character and her criminal NPC friend broke into to get the documents from in the present day. The other thing that happened back in the 40s is, while looking around in the Knoxville area trying to find the source of the radiation and where it might be coming from, they encountered a group of people who claim to own some of the property in the area they're looking for and are operating a type of private lodge on it. They've only met one of the guys so far, and they're going to try to figure out why their property boundaries weren't marked on any of the maps and stuff like that. But they've seen the lodge. It was an old, wooden log cabin thing, windows all boarded up, very secretive, and they met a guy wearing robes. Kind of weird. Okay, also back in the present day, one of the characters is the Technopath, and After, like I said in a couple of videos ago, I had to have the characters basically redesign their characters because of a really bad rule mistake I made whenever they made characters the first time. So the Technopath is now, and from this point has always been, in a wheelchair. And so what he's hoping for is that he's going to someday be able to work up some way to replace his legs. Like, he's interested in robotics and bionics and stuff like that. And so to this end, he has taken a job with the company because they can supply him with resources and funds and stuff like that that would further his own research. And also they have told him that the criminal who's the NPC that the other player is hanging out with is hunting down possible witnesses, and so they've got him as an employee who's also in protective custody, sort of. So it's all very convoluted at this point, and there's a lot of fun stuff going on. The only downfall one of the players pointed out is that what with this nameless company serving as the only real antagonist so far is that it seems a lot more similar to Heroes, the TV series, than I originally wanted it to. But I assured her that once they find out more about the plot, that it's not going to resemble Heroes at all as much as it seems like it does now. So the research this company is doing also has something to do with the earthquakes in the area, which resulted in a really cool sequence where an earthquake happened again. And I went through a thing and like asked all the players what they were doing. And it's like the one girl who was up in a cabin, she, you know, like everything's shaking and everything like that. The scientist, technopath guy was working in his laboratory and like all the lights were flickering and the computers were shaking and stuff like that. And the girl who's playing the Immortal, who was around in the 40s, originally designed her character to be a homeless vagabond type character in the present day until I asked her about starting in the 40s. But technically she still is a homeless vagabond living in the present day, it's just that no one met her. So what happened during the earthquake was we had one character in the laboratory, things shaking, one character in a cabin, everything shaking, and then we had the other character who also has the ability to fly, sitting in sort of like a floating Cieza position, like a few inches above the ground, so as to not really be affected by the earthquake. And I thought that was a really cool scene, and stuff like that plays up the fact that this game is actually a comic book game. Whether or not it's technically in the Marvel Universe or not, we're still dealing with comic book type elements and things like that. The game is kept, the time is kept in the game as far as like scenes and stuff like that. In this game, it does it in panels and pages, and stuff like that really emphasizes that. Okay, so went on longer than I probably wanted to. Thank you for watching the RPG channel, and I will talk to you next time.
Did I walk in front of you? There's nothing, James?
Yeah, you did. No, it's fine. I'm going to edit it out. I just forgot what I was going to say. Thanks a lot.